Alright, so this is gonna be video number 3 for the bouncing ball tutorial series. And in this one, we're gonna just go over a couple of other things, and then regarding to prevent breaking of the rig, and we're gonna go a couple of things regarding the display layer, and then also lastly the controls, the animation controls. All right. Okay, so over here in the outliner, so this is the rig and it has all the stuff for it. So whatever you do, just leave this alone. Don't touch it, don't mess with it at all. Because you could actually accidentally, let's say you're just, looking around and accidentally pull and drag things out, or you could keyframe it, a whole bunch of stuff could happen. So just, don't touch it at all. Alright, 1 second. There, cross it out. Next, the display layer. And let's go over the ball controls, right? Section under P. This is P. And you notice on this one, there's no P designation. And I'll explain why that part is important to leave this as empty. Because you could easily turn it on by accident. It happens all the time. So I'm gonna play the animation that I made, okay? Alright, so what happens is when I played it, you'll notice that the controllers disappear, okay? See? It disappears, but it reappears when you stop the animation. That's because the P is missing. So if I turn it on, and then I play the animation, see the difference? You will consistently see the controllers. And that's why you want to have it off. That way it's not distracting when you play the animation. Okay. So always have that off. Next, the ball geo in the display layer should always set to R for reference over here. That way you don't select the geometry, the mesh for him. You don't want to accidentally keyframe the mesh body. That will cause issues down the line. So you set it to R. But you do not set R to your ball controls, because that way you can't select the controllers. Alright, so that's good. Next. Alright, so let's talk about the controllers. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. And main one starting off is your move all control. And this is basically everything. Okay. Usually you do not animate this. Well, yeah, for the most part, you do not animate this at all. And you usually just leave it here in the center of the world, right? Sometimes there's use case scenarios for it, but for the most part, keep things simple, avoid potential headache, and just leave it alone. As you can see, it is keyframed, right? But the movement is not keyframed, right? Just as where it is has a keyframe. If you look here, you notice that it's all the same number, right? And later on I can delete it if I want to, but I'll explain why there is keyframes in the first place, even though it's not moving, but that's for later. Alright, check that off. Next is your ball control, COG. This, right, this right here is your COG. Let me hide the grid for now. Yeah, this is your COG. Ball control, COG. COG stands for center of gravity, and this wording, terminology is universal for pretty much every rig, whether it be for Maya, Blender, or any other software. Yeah, it's universally recognized, so every animator will know what this is. And bulk of your animation, pretty much 99.9 of your main movement, is done with your COG, this guy right here. Okay, and everything else follows along with it. Like these are other controllers, right? Even this, and down here, this guy right there. So just always remember your ball control COG is your main driver in terms of the animation, the bulk of it. Everything else is secondary that it accentuates the animation. So this one is pretty much the important one that you'll be animating. Next, your top squash and your bottom squash. This is your top squash, right? This is your bottom squash. And at the bottom squash, it can be a little bit tricky if you're making impact, right? Because if you want to make it squished, you can grab here. But then there's also use cases for this one, I guess, for stretching, yeah. Alright, so that one. And then on top of that, occasionally you could animate the scale. So it's like, for example, top heavy, right? Or the bottom one. Again, this is related to the bottom squash. See, so it's bottom heavy to animate. And you want to be kind of just a pinch, not a whole lot, right? Because you want to still maintain the body mass in general. You don't want to do something like this, right? Because it just throws things off visually. Yeah. So it's just a little bit extra flavor, maybe around that much, and not something like this, right? Stay away from, blowing it out too big, because you will be tempted to. I guarantee it, you will be tempted to. But regarding your center of gravity, you can also scale the center of gravity, right? But you'll notice how if you scale the center of gravity, you see the ground floor for him. I'm gonna leave my cursor here, and I'm gonna undo. But as natural state, its floor point, contact is up here, so you have to be careful about that. Probably, I don't know, best case scenario for the center of gravity for scaling it is probably doing a constrained scale. See that? Again, that's this guy right here, constrained. That way the top and bottom is not being scaled. You know what I mean? And also you want to make it as just a pinch. Yeah, and that the center of gravity, scaling it with the constraint, is purely in the middle. Whereas these guys, like I mentioned, they're like top heavy or bottom heavy. went over that. Alright, so next let's compare the spin. Before I even do that, right, so let's see the spin on him. Turn on the grid so you can see the floor. So spin should, I'm pretty sure of it, where you want to put the spin late at last, you know, that's like the icing on the cake, you know, polishing it up. Because once you start introducing spin early on, it throws things off really hardcore, because you're adding you know, a form of velocity and speed, and it's a headache. You want to put in later on, and that way it's more easier to control and to visualize how much velocity is happening, rotation in relation to the movement in general. So you want to put that last. Alright, so going back to your spin. This here is your spin ball. Okay. And your spin ball, okay, again, it's this guy right here, the yellow one. And it rotates just the ball. I mean, obviously, right? Right, but there's also this one, this kind of teal colored ring controller. This is your spin all. Your spin all is more unique, where it will control these guys and this guy. Right? Big difference. But it does not control him. It will not rotate your center of gravity. See how your center of gravity is still neutral? So again, just to be mindful of that. Spin all versus your spin ball. So if, you know, I guess when you have all your movement down, you're going across, you know, your up and downs, you could use your, for sure, you know, use your spin ball. But using your spin all, that's where it gets kind of sketchy, because you have to consider, if you do that, look what happens with this. Now you have to, you know, compensate with this. So it's pretty much a use case situation. I'm not going to tell you use this over that, but if it's just purely spinning, right, just that, you're going to use your spin all. If there's a special use case scenario where you need to have your character, your ball character, have it rotated, right? And then from there you want to have him launching this way. As you can see right now, it's a perfect right angle, so I have to turn it to object selection mode, which is Control Shift right click, object mode. See? So there's that use case, so that you can have a targeted, you know, point of attack to launch, which again is mainly with your spin all. That way, this guy follows through. So you want to be very mindful of that. Yeah. So again, for the most part, animate with your spin ball. And if there's special situations, you're gonna animate with your spin all. Okay? Just fair warning, I just have a feeling someone's gonna just animate with this guy, and then things gonna get all crazy. But just laying it out there. Alright. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Alright, so that's 15 minutes. Okay. Oh, by the way, I kind of added this little bit extra color on the top um, because the other shape coloring, the pattern kind of threw things off a bit, made it kind of look pointy when it's not. Alright, that's it. Bye.